Hello my friends, welcome to Gaming with Robbie. Today we'll be playing Going Medieval. This game released in early access back in 2021. We're almost in August of 2024, so it's been more than 3 years that this game has been in early access. But it's an awesome game. I'm by no means an expert playing this. I've just been playing this for 100 hours now, and I wanted to share with you what my village that I have here. By no means I'm an expert player, so don't take this as a guide. I just want to show you the basics and just show you how I play, and see if you like it. See if you want to buy the game, and see if this this series of videos helps you in any way. We have some cool little rooms here for our villagers, and we have some churches and dining halls over here. We have some kitchens and farms, and we have a whole bunch of stuff here. So let's start this video, this series. We're gonna start with the basics. So welcome to this Going Medieval series. So on this first video, we'll be starting a new game, and we're gonna start with the basic settings. Everything is in standard. We have a little bit of a description here of what standard means. I'm not gonna go through all the details. If you play this game, you could go ahead and read everything that's on the screen. But we're gonna start with just the basic settings. So we'll get through this pretty quick. I always like to play in a large map. Just give me some more space. You could select between valley, you could select between a hillside, mountains, and marsh. But like I said, we're gonna start with just the basics, and you could go ahead and pick whatever you want. We're gonna call this Gamingville. You could go ahead and customize your shield here, your logo for your settlement. I'm not a good designer, so I'll just stick with that. You could random your seed, do whatever you want, and then you're gonna have this screen. We're gonna start with 3 villagers. The standard setting starts with 3 villagers, and what I like to do here, and again, this is how I like to play. You don't have to play like this. You could just go ahead and continue and play with whatever you're given. But I like to customize a little bit my 3 settlers, so it'll make things a lot more interesting and a lot easier for the beginning of the game. So what we're gonna do first is the game gives you these 3 random players, settlers, with each of their skills here. You can see we have skills here, and we have a number assigned to them. The larger the number, the better that villager is in that specific skill. So what I like to do is actually go into advanced customization and play around with these numbers. So you're gonna want to start with somebody that's good in construction. You're gonna want to start with somebody who's good in research or intellectual, and you're gonna want to start with somebody who's good at mining. Okay, that's how I like to start. Again, you could play with whatever you want. You could customize this whatever you want. You do have 510 creation points, they're called. So if you don't do this advanced customization and you just hit next, you're losing out on creation points. So the game doesn't tell you that, but it's just easy for you to click next, and you don't realize that you're missing out on these creation points. So let's start with this settler. If it has a yellow star, it means that settler is very passionate about that skill. If you see there, it says the settler will gain 2.5 more XP when they're doing stuff that requires intellect, like research. So that's something good. Again, you want to start with somebody that's good in intellectual. Marksman also is a pretty important skill. Construction, and probably mining or animal handling. But let's go ahead and use this settler, and we're gonna boost a little bit their intellectual. We're gonna boost it up all the way to 20. We're gonna take points from art. We don't need somebody who's good at art right now. Botany is pretty good, because it's a pretty good skill, because that's gonna help you with all your farms, so you could grow food. So we'll take a look at that. If you see here, we have a yellow star. That means one of these two other settlers has a star. So we'll leave this at 0 right now. We are gonna have this settler. What else can we put? She has pretty high mining, so let's boost up mining. She's pretty good at melee, so we're gonna leave her there. Melee, that's good. We're gonna want to boost at least to 10 the marksman. Marksman is for ranged weapons, so that settler could use ranged weapons. What else? We're gonna I'm gonna have this settler be our researcher. She'll be in charge of researching, and that's pretty much all I want her to do in the beginning of the game, because it's important to immediately start to research your technology so you could advance faster, and you could have better stuff. Another option here are the perks. So there's a whole bunch of perks here. I'm not going to go through all of them. You could go through them when you're creating your settler, but if you pick a perk here, it's gonna take points off your creation points. So let's see if we could find one that's good for research. Let me see. So we're gonna go with wise. So wise gives you a +3 in intellectual and a 20% gain in XP when you're doing intellectual jobs. So that's a very good perk to have for your researcher. So she has the +3 and she has the 20. She'll be at 23 in intellectual. She'll be getting the 20% extra XP when she's doing that, and she'll be having the 2.5 because she has that yellow star. She's eager to do intellectual jobs. So let's leave her at that. We're just gonna use her in the beginning of the game to research. So let's take a look at our next settler here. So this settler here has a star for botany. He's a good. He has a star for smithing. He has 2 stars for speech craft. So this is interesting because we have intellectual and we have speechcraft. Speechcraft is something that the settler does when he negotiates with people that come in to sell stuff, or people that come in to extortionate you. We'll take a look a little bit about that in the video. So this guy, I think this guy's gonna be our farmer. So we're gonna boost his points in botany. Let's boost him up to 20. He has a lot of intellectual. We'll probably leave him at 20. Later on in the game, it's important to have at least 3 people that are good at researching. So even though at the beginning I don't want him to be a researcher, he'll probably be one further down the game. We're gonna want to boost a lot his marksman, because we want to have at least at the beginning of the game 2 archers and 1 melee settler. So she's gonna be our melee. She has 25, and this guy's gonna be an archer. We could probably even boost him up to 25. So perks are also we could also have negative perks. So if you see here, this guy's rootless. It says he's extremely candid and doesn't suffer fools gladly. So this guy, it's weird because the game doesn't do a pretty good job at balancing this. So he has 2 stars for speechcraft, but he also has a perk that's -3 speechcraft. So that doesn't make sense. He's eager, but he doesn't like it. So we're gonna erase this, and what we're gonna do, because this is gonna be our farmer, we're gonna put green thumb here. So he has a +3 in botany. He harvests 35% more, and he has a 50% chance that he will not fail when he's harvesting. So we're gonna have him be our farmer. So let's leave him for now like this. He'll be our farmer. Let me put in some more points here. He'll eventually be another researcher. It's important to like have your 3 first settlers be good at some stuff and not good at others. So let's take a look at this. So this guy is good at smithing. Smithing is gonna help us with better weapons and armor. He'll create gold ingots and silver and iron ingots faster. So that's pretty good. But he doesn't need speechcraft, so let's take points off that. He won't need to be a tailor. Let's have this guy be our miner also. So he'll mine and then he'll go smith. So let's boost him up all the way to 20. He also has to be a good archer, so let's boost him up to 25. Intellectual will be 0. So we have to have a good cook. So let's take a look at our cooking situation. So this is our researcher. So she can't cook at the same time she's researching, and cooking is very important in this game. So this guy's gonna be our farmer, and this guy's gonna be our miner. So I guess we'll boost this guy up. He'll be our cook. We need somebody good at construction also. He has 15 construction. She has 2. It's hard to balance this because I guess he could be our constructor. So he'll be our constructor. He'll be our carpenter. He'll be our smith. And he'll be our miner. That's all he's gonna do. We could take off some points here. We could take off some points in art. We don't need art. So let's take some. We need somebody who's good with animals. Let me see here. So who's gonna be our cook? This is gonna be our cook. So this guy has to be good at animal handling. So we'll put 20. Okay, so then this guy's gonna be our. What I like to do also, it looks pretty weird, but what I like to do is change their names and put like cook. So this guy, his main job is cook. So that's sometimes I do that. But let's not do that for this series. So Sigmund will be our farmer. He'll be our animal handler. He won't do construction. He won't do carpentry. He'll be our cook. He's a good archer. And let's just leave him at that. Yeah. Okay, that's good. So this girl here, she's our researcher. So, and she has good melee. So let's put her. She'll also be our tailor. So we're getting pretty close to our limit here. She doesn't have to smith. She doesn't have to mine because our miner is Garas. right? Yeah, so she doesn't have to mine. We could take some points off her. And she'll be our melee. So medicine is also it's also important that your doctor is very intellectual. So she'll be our doctor also. So let's boost up this all the way to 20. So she's like the smart settler. She'll be very smart. She'll be a good doctor. She'll be our melee, and that's about all she'll do. And she'll tailor. She'll do some clothes eventually. So this is like a very smart person, a very skilled person. So then here, he'll be our everything that has to do with food. So he'll handle animals. He's a good marksman, and animal handling is also good for hunting. He'll be our farmer, and that's about it. He's a good marksman. We could decrease the melee here. We could decrease the medicine. So he'll be our food guy. He'll handle our animals. He'll handle our farms. He will handle our cooking, and he will handle our hunting. And then this guy, he's gonna be like the strong guy. He's a good smith. He's a good miner. He's a good marksman. He's a good constructor, and he's a good carpenter. So we still have 20 more points. We could probably boost him up a little bit here, like this. So this is our strong guy. He'll do all the strong work. He'll smith. He'll mine. He'll he's good ranged guy. He'll construct, and he'll do the carpentry. This is our food guy, and this is our smart settler. So we still have 10 points, and let me see the perks he has. So he's benevolent. He's good at speechcraft. I don't think we need this. We definitely don't need this one, and we definitely don't want this. So we gained some points. We could give him a perk. Let's see. I think there's like, this guy was our strong guy, so let's see if we could give him like something that has to do with let me see. How about industrious? Yeah, I think this is good. This is good for him. He'll work 15% faster. And she has a perk. He has a perk. So I think we still have 7 points left. Let me see. We could probably boost him up to 25. So also when they have the star, they'll gain XP faster when they're doing this. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense to put like super a lot of points here, because she'll gain points very quickly. So we could probably use, let me see, our cooking guy is 25, 25, 25, 20. I think he's good. We could probably put some points here, and that's it. We have 510 points of 510. So we're done balancing our settlers. You could do a lot of customization. You could change their gender, you could skin color, and all that. We won't do that in this video, but you could definitely go in and do that. You could even like get them a backstory, and I encourage you to go in and check all these options. It's pretty cool. Also, you want to have them as young as possible, because you don't want your super settlers to be like super old. See, that this guy's 52. He'll be dying pretty soon. So you want your settlers to be super young. Eventually you'll get more settlers as you play the game, but these three are gonna be like your base settlers. These will be your super settlers. So I think that's about it. I think we're ready to start. and we're gonna go ahead and click next. So this is like a summary of your settings. You have your 3 settlers here. You have your difficulty, your backstory, and where you're gonna be put in the beginning. So we're ready. We're gonna embark. Okay, so we're ready to start our game. You get a quick little story about your settlers, and you could go ahead and read that. But we're gonna start our settlers. So the first thing you want to do immediately once you enter the game is hit pause. You could do that with the spacebar, and take a look at your surroundings. So we're in a valley game, so we really don't have hills. We don't really have like we don't have mountains. We don't have a lot of levels in our world. We have a little 3 level here, but it's not too bad. We have a little hole down here, but most of it is just flat valley. So take a look around at your surroundings. You start off with a few resources here. We'll get into that in a bit. So what you wanna look first is where you're gonna start your settlement. You don't want to start real close to the edge, because then you're not going to be able to expand. So you want to start probably in the middle of the map. If it's a good location, if you like the location, you're going to want to start probably where they put you in the beginning. So we're going to start there. Also, another thing you have to check out is your mining resources. Like, we have a pit here. If you see down here on the bottom left side, you have the position of your cursor, and wherever your cursor is, it's the type of land that it is. Like right here, it's 100% soil, but if you go down here, you can see that this is clay, 100% clay. If you go over here, you can see it's rocky soil. Let me see. Let's find some other material. This is also clay. This is gonna be iron. Oh, salt. Salt and iron are almost the same color. So let me see if I can find some other resources here. This is clay. Let me see. So this is the thing about playing in Valley. You don't have a lot of mining resources. Let me see, this is also clay. So we're gonna have to... I don't see iron or limestone. There's another resource. Probably when we start like cutting down these trees, we'll find some. So yeah, take a look at your map and see what resources you have. You could take a look at your wildlife also. We have a dead deer here. That's going to be important because we could get this guy and get some food out of him without even have to kill it. Without even have to hunt him. So I guess that's pretty much. So the other maps have different different resources. The amount of resources on the other type of maps, like if you play mountain, you'll have a bunch of clay, you'll have a bunch of limestone, you'll even have some gold and silver, but you won't have a lot of like space to build. Or you will have, but it's gonna be all rocky. It's gonna be a lot of levels. It's gonna be high, it's gonna be low. So it comes with some pros and cons. So we're gonna have to do with this map. Again, this is generated when you start the game, so unless you use the exact seed that I was using in the title screen, you're gonna get a different map than this. So remember, the game is paused, and now we're just scouting our map here to see what we have. Oh, we have some iron here. So that iron is just sitting there. It's not actually from the on the bottom. If you see down here, you have like a different color, and probably that's iron. So yeah, okay. Now this down here, this is grass. The tall grass will give you hay. Hay is important when you have animals. We have a goat here. We have two goats, a female and a male goat. So we want to build a pen for them as soon as possible. Goats will give us milk, and will also help us. They'll start having babies. They'll start having more goats, and then you could use them to trade. So what else do we have? We have some food, some packaged food here. That's gonna help us for our first couple of days. And we have some weapons. We have some books. These books are used for our research. We'll get into that in I don't think we'll get into that in this video. So another important thing you have to pay attention to is where you store your stuff, because like food, it will decompose very quickly. If you see here, it says that it's laying on the ground. It's flat on the ground, and it's very hot. You could see your temperature up here. It's 2.4 degrees Celsius here. And you could also see the time, the date and time. So right now we're starting in spring. It's day 1 of spring. Spring is pretty cold. We'll get some rain, and but it's a pretty good season. Summer, the beginning of summer, it's good for harvesting. You'll have a lot of opportunity to harvest a lot of resources. But then starts getting real hot, and your settlers will start complaining about the heat. Then in autumn, it starts getting cold again, and winter temperatures could get really low. So you have to be prepared for that. So the first thing you have to do is have to take care of where you're gonna store your stuff, where your settlers are gonna sleep. So what we want to do now is, if you see these stuff here, it has an icon with a hand and an X. That means that the settlers won't use these resources at all. They won't pick them up. They won't take them anywhere. They won't use them. They won't consume them. And if you see all around the map, you have resources that are forbidden. See, forbidden. So what we want to do first is we want to go ahead and tell our settlers they could use the stuff that's on the map. So we have a dead deer over here. We want to get this deer over here. If you click the hand with the allow icon, anything that's forbidden, you could automatically click on it, and then the settlers will pick it up. So they'll pick up those iron piles. They'll pick up the weapons, and they'll start doing their work. Okay, so we're gonna start by chopping this area here. We're gonna build our whole fortress or kingdom right here. So we want to go ahead and start chopping all of this. Wood is very important in the beginning of the game. So remember, we have this guy is our strong guy. He could start with construction. She's our smart settler, so she'll start with research once we have that option. And this guy is our cook. He'll handle all the animals, and he'll handle all the farms. Okay, so let's take a look at the menus up here. We have the jobs tab, and this is what the settlers will do and the priority that you want them to do it. So priority 1, by clicking on this, you'll see the numbers here. They change. It goes from 5 all the way to 1. So priority 1 is done first, and 5 is done last. What I like to do is have our just start just have a fresh start with all of this. Again, this is probably not the best way to do it. You could do it your way. There's probably a better way to do this. You don't have to do this, but you can copy and paste. So what I like to do is all our settlers, I'll put patient and tend and convalescence to 1. So what does this mean? If your settler gets hurt, if there's an attack and your settler gets hurt, the first thing he'll do is he'll be a patient. He'll find somewhere where he could rest. He'll find somewhere where he could heal, and he'll find 10. Let's put 0 because 10 is that the settler will actually tend wounds. So you don't want somebody who has a medicine of 2 or a medicine of 10. 10 is not too bad, but like 2 is not good, because what they'll do is they'll try to tend wounds, but they'll fail. So you lose time. So we have our doctor. So she has 22 medicines. So she will tend wounds of all the village. We only have 3 right now. So she's fine doing that. And that's what these 3 things go. Now, from left to right, things get done from left to right. So if you have a 1 here, let's say you have a 5 here and you have a 1 over here, the computer, the AI will look for the 1s first, going from left to right. So if you have 5s here, it'll go all the way to your 1. And once there's no more jobs for 1, then it'll continue going right until it goes back and then does the 5. So let's start assigning jobs to our settlers, depending on what we wanted them to be. So this is our strong guy. This guy will be an urgent hauler. We'll probably put it to 2. This guy has a construction value of 25, so we want him to be our constructor. We'll put 1. He'll always be constructing. That's the first thing we want him to do. He has 0 botany, so we don't want him to be near the farms or the animals. But remember he's our miner, so we also want to put in a 1. So if we have a construction job and we have a mining job, remember the AI will do left to right. So he's gonna construct first and then he's gonna mine, because the both values are 1. We don't want him actually cutting plants, although at the beginning of the game we could probably put him to 5, just because at the beginning of the game we have to do a lot of cutting of the trees. So we'll put him at 5 just for now. We don't want him cooking. We don't want him crafting. We definitely want him smithing. We won't have jobs right now for smithing, but we'll put a 1. We'll put a 1 for carpentry. We don't want him to be our tailor, alchemy, or research. We don't want him to do anything art. Steward, we could probably put Steward to 3 and Hall to... Hall is very important, so we'll probably do Hall 1. And he actually has stars, so he likes to be a steward and he likes to haul. So that's good. He's our strong guy. Remember, he's gonna take things. Haul is to take things from one place to another, where you want them to be, where you assign the things to be. So we'll put 1 here. Steward is he'll be, it says, taking care of basic tasks like locking doors, closing windows, extinguishing torches, etc. So 3 is okay for the time being. We'll talk about a little bit of that later on. So now we'll go to our doctor, our smart girl. So we already have her tending wounds of all the village. We don't want her hunting or fishing. We don't want her constructing. We don't want her near our farms or animals. We don't want her mining. We don't want her cutting plants. Again, just because it's the beginning of the game, we'll put a 5 here. Because right now, when we hit play, there won't be construction jobs. There won't be research jobs. That's what we have her for. There won't be tailoring jobs, so she'll immediately go to the next tier. So there's a be a 5, so she'll start cutting. We don't want her cooking. We don't want her smithing. We want her tailoring. Tailoring is going to be important later on. Alchemy is really not until much later in the game, so we'll probably put her with us 3, and we want her to be our researcher. She'll be our researcher, and pretty much that will be her job. She won't do anything else but research. Research, again, is very important at the beginning of the game, but once I hit play, there won't be research jobs. So then remember, the AI goes from left to right, so there won't be patients. There will be wounds to tend. She's completely healthy, so she doesn't have to rest. Then it will skip this 5 because there's a 1. It'll skip this 2 and 3 and it'll go to 1. But since we don't have research jobs, it'll then repeat the cycle and then go 5, but it'll go to our number 2 priority. Since we don't have tailoring jobs, it'll skip and then it'll go to 3. We don't have alchemy, so then it'll skip and then it'll go to cut plants. So she'll start cutting these trees down here. Even though she has a 0 in botany, we really don't have a choice at the beginning of the game, so she'll go into 5. And then we have our, what was this guy? Our food guy. So we want him hunting. We want him fishing. We want him in our farms. We want him harvesting. We want him handling our animals. And we want him cutting our trees. And we want him cooking. He'll mostly be our cook. So when there's no jobs to cook, he'll start doing the rest of these 2s down here. So that's pretty much all he'll do. We don't want him smithing. Even though he has a star, we don't want him smithing. We already have a smith. We don't want him doing alchemy or research. Again, he's 20 he has 20 points in intellectual, so eventually he'll help us with research down the line, but we don't want him doing that. We could have our doctor also do some steward and some hall, and he could do some steward and some hall also. So now it's very important that you have at least one settler doing every job. So we don't have anybody doing craft. We could probably put our carpenter guy. Where is he? It's this guy, right? Yeah. So he'll do our carpentry, our craft. I mean, we could put him probably in 3. Crafting is like basic items, like crafting, like bricks and doing stuff like signs and stuff. We'll get into that later on. I don't think she'll be our crafter. No, you could leave artist with nobody, because artist, the only thing that the artist does is paint some pictures, and we don't need that. You're not gonna need that until late in the game, so that's okay if you don't have anybody there. So we have at least one settler doing each of the jobs. You don't want to have, if there's no number, that settler won't do that job at all. He won't, even though he has nothing else to do, he won't, like this girl won't do our growing or our harvesting. Even though if there's no other job for her to do, she'll just stay idle. She won't do anything else. So why I like to do this is because you know that each settler is going to be doing something specific, and then you could manage your settlers a little bit better that way. Again, you could do it however you want. You could assign whatever you want here. So the next tab is schedule. It's important that your settlers get enough sleep. It's important that they do some work, obviously. It's important also to have a time where they can do anything a settler could go to church and pray, or play some backgammon, do some whatever they want. They could eat, they could do whatever they want. uh, they'll prioritize meeting their own needs. So it's very important for that. Leisure, I never put leisure, because when they have anything slot, they could also do leisure. And role duties, we'll get into roles later in later videos. So this they have, let's see, that's 1 2 3, that's 6. They have 7 hours of sleep. I like to do 8 hours of sleep. So we'll put some an extra hour there. And we also want to establish that they'll start working at 8 and they'll work for 10 hours. I think that's a good start. They'll start at 8 and they'll finish at 7. So again, you could copy here and paste here. Eventually, when you have more villagers, you could have like a night shift where the villagers work at night while others sleep. But you could do that later on. So they have 8 hours of sleep, they have 10 hours of work, and they have 5 hours where they could do whatever they want. So I think that's a good schedule to start. You could go ahead and play around with that whenever you want. Manage. So manage is a system where you automatically designate things for your settler. Like draft is for when you get attacked. You have to draft your settlers so they go into attack mode. And then self-tend. So when they get hurt, if they have self-tend checked, that person will tend their wounds by themselves. They won't need somebody to go and tend their wounds for them. So we have our doctor. Remember, she has medicine 22, so she can handle self tending. We also have this guy who has 10. He could probably also self tend. Well, you see, it's red here because in jobs we don't have him tend. We don't have an option to tend. So let's just take them off. Right now we only have 3 villagers, so she could take care of all the tending. So she could tend herself. Then weapons. We have 2 ranged villagers and we have 1 melee. So this guy has a skills of 25 in marksman. So we want him to have ranged weapons. So when you do this, they'll automatically look for a weapon, a ranged weapon, and pick it up. You start with some weapons here. If you leave it with no weapons, they won't get a weapon. You have to manually assign them to go pick that weapon up. So we'll have him get a ranged weapon. She's our melee, so we want her to have a one-handed melee. So she could also have a shield. We'll put all shields. And then this guy is our second ranged. Yep. So we'll have him ranged. So the ranged aren't able to have shields because they use their both hands for that. Headgear. This is for armor. For their head armor. We won't have any head armor, I think, right now at the beginning. So let me see. This is no. So we'll just put all head armor. So when we get some head armor, we'll eventually get some head armor either through trade or through fights that we have later on. They'll get a head armor. Apparel. So right now they all have winter clothes. So winter clothes helps them deal with cold weather. So we'll leave that on during the spring because the first days of spring are pretty cold. So that's good. But eventually it's gonna be summer. So remember we have a tailor. Who's our tailor? This our smart lady is our tailor. So eventually we'll have her make some winter clothes. So once once late autumn starts to go into to our time, we want to change this to winter, so we'll have some winter clothes to put on. Armor, we'll let them get whatever armor they can find. Food, at the beginning of the game, it's important to leave it at all food, but eventually you're gonna have you're gonna start cooking some meals. So you're gonna want your villagers not to eat raw food. So you could go here, like you could edit, like let's say you want to let me see, we have some meal here. So what's meal? Meal allows your settlers to eat packaged meal. It won't allow them to eat human packaged meal, because when you have wars and you have dead bodies, you could actually cook them, but it's not something your settlers will like. So that's why human meat is all unchecked, but they'll eat everything the cook does for meals. They won't eat anything raw. They won't eat like cabbages. They won't eat beets. They won't eat carrots or apples, because these are ingredients that the cook will use to make meals. So, but at the beginning of the game, just have them eat all food, because it's gonna be a while, not too long, but it's gonna be a while to start cooking some good meals. And stimulants is like wine and beer. We have some here. Let me see if we could. So we have an ale pile. That's 25 ale. So they'll drink all stimulants. So they'll drink some of that ale. Eventually, you could edit this and have them not drink like alcohol and just drink beer or just drink wine or whatever. So at the beginning, we'll just leave them with all ale. So I think that does it for managing. The next tab is overview. This is a pretty neat menu where you could see at a glance what you have. So resources right now on food, we have 10 packaged meals that have we have actually 12 packaged meals. We have 35 cabbages and we have 25 portions of ale. So you could see what you have here. You could also change forbidden to allowed here. That's something you can do there. Now fermenting ingredients, we don't have anything like that. We have some materials, so we have 400 wood. We have lots of sticks. We have some linen. We have some limestone. We have some mechanical components. We have some iron, dirt, lots of clay. So this is stuff that is on the ground. We don't have it here in our pile. We have it on the ground. Remember when we were looking at the map? So see these sticks here? These are things that that menu is telling you that you have ready to use, but it doesn't come with your initial like stock stuff here. You have to go and pick it up. So this is good to know what you have in the world ready to go and pick up. So we have lots of clay. We have a bit of dirt, iron, and a bit of limestone. We have lots of stick and lots of wood. So that's in the world. So we have 35 cabbages seed. So we're gonna start our farms with some cabbages, fodder, some hay. We have 200 hay. Waste. We have lots of bones. We don't really need bones. Bones are right now. The bones are of dead animals that decompose somewhere around the world. Books. We have 25 books. That's for research. We'll get into that later. We have 10 simple healing kits. These are important when we get attacked and we get damaged. So, and carcasses. We have lots of dead animals. So this is important in the beginning of the game, because we could go and pick up these carcasses and get some cooking done with them. So we have some raw raw meat from them. So that's good to have. So if you want to know what's in the world, you go into here and you go into resources. Now items. So we have 2 melee weapons. We have 2 ranged weapons. We have 1 shield. We have 1 armor piece. We don't have clothes. We don't have structures, and we don't have trophies. That's gonna be we'll talk about that when we get to that. So here in domestic, we have our animals. We have 2 goats and we have 1 cat. So the cat, if you check this vermin control, the cat will start, like if rats start coming into, because wildlife will come in and try to eat your stuff, like the deer will come in and try to eat your hay. If you have like raw meat, then rats will come in and try to eat your raw meat. So your cat actually helps with that. If you click here on the vermin control, you could assign it to a villager. It's really not important to assign a cat, but later on we'll have animals like dogs that are important to haul stuff. You could use donkeys to haul stuff. You could use cattle to haul stuff. You could use goats. I don't think you could use goats to haul, but it's important later on. And wildlife, it's all the animals that are alive in the world. So we have deers, we have hares, we have pheasants, we have some boars, foxes, polecats, and we have some rats. So these are all the animals in the world that are alive. If you hit like this crossbar here, it'll take you to where that animal is, so you know where it is. Like if you want to go hunting for that animal, you could go and hit and click there, and you could see where that animal is and go hunt that animal. So I think we're about ready to begin. Research and region is something we need a cartography table and a basic research table, so these tabs could open. We have some switches over here that you could play around with. It's really not important. I like to take off the treetops, so the map doesn't look so cluttered. So if you go in here and you see all these trees, I like to take them off so you can see what's under them. That's important. And yeah, there's a lot of other things like the temperatures. You can see the temperatures here. Now another thing is the layers. So right now we're at 16 of 16 on the layers. Because we're playing a valley map, layers doesn't really matter that much. But if we were playing like a hillside map, it's important to see the underneath layers. So like if you go to layer 1, this is underground. It's important. I'll talk about underground, the importance of underground in a minute. So if you keep up going, like let's say 5 is like the base layer of the map. If you see here, it's blacked out because this is elevated terrain. So this is at an elevated level. So if we keep going up, we start revealing more of the map. So we could see all the map at 7. Because this is a valley map, the highest it goes is 7. We see all the map at 7. If we were playing hills, we could probably still see lots of black spaces because it's elevated to a different layer. So it goes all the way to 16. So we don't want it at 16 now. We could play right now at 5. We could see our ground here. If we go 1 under, we start getting black. So let's stay at 5. We don't really need to see this hill right now. So we're ready to start with our gameplay. It's been a long intro, but it's necessary, and you wanna have it in pause because you don't want time to go by and your settlers be idle. You want them always doing something. So it was paused, and we're ready to start getting some resources. So we'll allow all of these resources to be used, and what we want to do first, what I always want to do first, is build a basic room. So we have somewhere where the settlers could go and sleep. We'll build some hay beds so they could go in and sleep, but they have to be protected from the elements. They won't sleep in the rain. And we also want a place where we could store all our stuff so that it won't start decomposing. So let's start with, let me go real quick through these icons on here. This is like the base construction. This is where you have walls, you have floors, doors, windows, stairs, roofs, and ladders. So if you click this here, you'll have this little blueprint, so you know where you're going to construct. But if you could also select a variant. You could go with clay, or you could go with the limestone wall. They have different values. Like this has the wooden wall has a hit point of 200 and a value of 3. If you go into the clay wall, it has a less hit point, 150, and it costs 5 clay to build, where the wooden wall costs 5 wood. And then the limestone has a hit point of 300 and a value of 5, and it costs 5 limestones to construct. So at the beginning of the game, you'll use mostly wood, and then once you start smithing, and once you start getting some bricks and mining, you could use other variants of this. So we have the wooden floor, we have a wicker floor, we have a limestone floor, and we have a wicker graded floor. And again, they each have different descriptions. Doors, we have a regular door, we have a wicker door, graded door, and we have a barn door. We have some windows, ladders, roofs, and ladders, stairs and ladders. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start building. Again, you want to build. If you see this red area here, that means you can't build on that area. So that's why you want to build like in the middle. So that way you have a lot of space to expand once your village starts getting bigger. So you really have to try to plan and imagine in your head what you want your village to look like eventually, so you could start optimizing your space in a better way. Let's take a look at the other icon. So in production, we have our butchering table. This is used to cut up, like, remember we had a deer carcass over here that we're gonna pick up right here. We need a butchering table so that they could butcher that carcass. We need a campfire so that our cook could start cooking up some meals, and we need a basic research table so we could start researching. Once you build this basic research, we'll have this option open, and then we could start researching new technologies. In furniture, we'll have a torch. We'll have some heat source, tables, and stools. Again, there's different variants. Once your research starts going, you'll have more variants. Like you could have a torch made out of gold or steel or iron. You could have better tables. You could have better beds. Like this hay sleeping spot, it's gonna use 15 hay, and it has a value of 7, but it has an aesthetic value of -5. And you could use sticks to make a wicker bed, and it has a little bit better aesthetic. It has less value but better aesthetic. It really doesn't matter at the beginning of the game. You just need somewhere where they could sleep, and eventually you'll research a better bed, and then you could start building some beds, some stools for your settlers to have a place where they could sit down and eat. Then we have our leisure. These are shrines there's 2 basic religions in the game. We have the Restitutionist and we have the Oak Brethren. You can see the religion of your settlers if you click on them. and you can see the religious alignment. This is a devout oak brethren, and if it has more points over here, there'll be this is an oak also. All of them are oak. So like if you're here, you don't want to build a restitutionist shrine because all your settlers are oak brethren. So you want to build them a shrine so they could pray, and you want to build them a backgammon table so they could have some fun. If you don't, if you go here into the mood, they'll start asking you to like religious activity. They need somewhere to pray. If you don't build a shrine, this religious activity will start going down, and then your mood will start going down. Your entertainment activities, this is the backgammon. Currently, the only entertainment that the settlers have is the backgammon table. Again, if you see the version here, it's at 0.19. This is still in early access, so eventually I guess we're going to have some more entertainment stuff that the villagers could do. And then in miscellaneous, we have some graves, we have a pyre, we have fence, merchant stall. We'll get into that a little bit later. And then we have our warfare, where that we'll get into that a bit later also. So right now we're gonna want to build. Let me go through this real quick. So we have the biography here. We have your perks here. You can take a look at the perks. Their inventory. This villager just has a winter clothes. You could take a look at their stats here. You could also just put your cursor on them, and then you'll see what their stats are. Their attributes, you could see them there. Their stats, then their mood. You could see their health here, and then you could see their social here. So you could take a look at that also. We'll go into a bit of detail once it's important. So let's start building a basic room. Now, before that, let's take a look where we could build our farm. So it's important, like if you put your cursor here, it says 100% soil. So anywhere that says soil, you could farm. There's places like right here, this is limestone, like right here, rocky soil. You can't make a farm here. You can't build a farm here. So you can't grow anything here. So take a look at where your farm is going to be. You want your farm to be as close as possible to your cooking area, and your storage area. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna do two very important things. First, we're gonna build our basic room, and also we want to build a cellar. Why are we gonna build a cellar? So the only refrigeration option that we have so that stuff doesn't decompose as quickly as it should is to build an underground cellar. So that's why the layers are important, because you want to go in and dig a cellar. So once you start getting some food and ingredients, you want that to go underground, so it's at a colder temperature. So right now you could see your temperature here. Wherever you move your mouse, the temperature changes. So at this point right here, it's 3.6 degrees. Over here is 3.9. If it's in the shadow, it's 2.4. So, and if we go underground, you immediately see how all underground is 0 degrees. There's no temperature here. So once you start building, the deeper you go, the better. Well, you could probably go like to level, let's say level 2. And once you start making some space, it won't be 0, but it will probably be in a temperature around 1 to 3 degrees. And that's going to stay like that all year round. So it could be summer and it could be like very hot, but your underground cellar is going to be in between 2 or 3 degrees. Why is that important? We have some cabbage here. Let me click here. So the cabbage, it's decomposing 0.5 faster because it's on the ground. So if we build the floor, whatever floor, it could be a wooden floor, it could be a wicker floor, it could be whatever floor, that 0.5 decay goes to 0. So that it's important that your stuff be on the floor and not just like on a constructed floor and not just like on the ground. But also it rots in 9 days, so it will decompose in 13 days if we don't put it on a floor. But also the temperature is very important. So we see here right now this cabbage is at 3.7 degrees, and if we put our cursor here, we could see that our cabbage is decomposing at a rate of 0.14. That's how fast it's decomposing, because if you see down here, over here, you see the values depending on the temperature. So if you put that cabbage underground where it's in between 1 and 3 degrees, instead of 1.14, it'll decay at 0.09 value. So it's important that food always be stored in an underground cellar, and it'll rot again. Those are the temperatures. So once it, like in the spring, early spring, you still have a little time because it's pretty cold. But once spring starts in the last couple of days and summer comes in, the temperatures are gonna get really high. So if that cabbage is out at a 14 to 22 degrees temperature, it's gonna decay 1.5 times faster than if it were in a cooler environment. So that's why you have to put food, you have to put seeds, you have to put medicine underground. And there's stuff that doesn't have to be underground, but it has to be on either shelves or floors, like this linen cloth pile. It doesn't matter the temperature, but it does matter that it's off the ground, at least on a constructed floor. And you also have this little icon here on the weather. So if it starts raining, all our stuff that's out here unprotected, it's gonna start decaying really fast. So if it starts raining, it's gonna start decaying at 1.2 the value. So we really need to get all this stuff into a room, and we also need that room to be our place where our settlers are gonna be sleeping at night. So let's start. You could start laying the blueprints, even though it's paused. You could start laying the blueprints of the things you're gonna start building. So let's start with a 10 by 10 room. I think a 10 by 10 room is pretty good right now. So this is our 10 by 10. We'll need a door. We don't need windows right now. And layers are important. Right now you don't see the walls. If we go up a layer, we'll see the complete blueprint of the wall, and that allows us to put a roof on it. So we'll put a wooden floor, so this is covered like that. Now something very important is let me see, we don't have it right here until it's constructed, but why is there a hole here? Why can't we put stuff here? We need beams to support the weight of the structure. That's something very important that we're gonna get into once we start building some more stuff. So what we're gonna, since we don't, the beams will unlock when we research them. So because we don't have them right now, what we need to do is put another wall like in the middle here. We'll put a wall here and see if that helps us. Yeah, that with that wall there, we could completely close our room, and we need to put floor here. So this area here is where we're gonna sleep, and we're gonna store all our stuff at the beginning of the game. Eventually, we're gonna want to have a room for each of our settlers. We're gonna have to have some room for other stuff. but I think right now that's okay. Once I hit play, our construction guy, where is he? This guy, Geros, is our construction guy. He'll start getting this wood and he'll start building this this little room we have here. We also want to start with our farming and our cooking. So we want to have, I guess we're gonna start with our farming. So an icon I didn't touch earlier was the zones. The zones are, we actually can't farm until we research. So we'll have to build a research table very quickly. Where is it? We'll have to build that research, and we'll build it in here in our little room here. It's just one square, so we'll put it here so our researcher can start with research immediately. We want our campfire so our cook could start cooking. And what are zones? So the default stockpile, that's just what we have right now available. So we have to designate the area where we want stuff to be put. So the default stockpile will assign this area here where all our stuff will be put. So if you click the stockpile, this is right now it accepts everything on it. So at the beginning of the game, it's okay if you want to have everything there, because we just want it to be under a roof at the beginning of the game. That's very important. Once we start getting more stuff constructed and we have our cellar, we'll start constructing like let's say this is our cellar and we just want food. So we clear all and we just click food. So this area here will just accept food. It won't accept clothes, it won't accept seeds, it won't accept anything else. So but that's later on. So right now we just want all our stuff, be it food, clothes, whatever, we just want it under a roof and on a constructed floor. So we'll assign that area there. We'll want to build some sleeping areas for villagers. We want to leave a space there, so we'll build 3 hay sleeping spots, and I think we're ready to go. So we're gonna start cutting these trees. Let me see, where are we gonna put like our farm? So we want our farm to be close by. I think we're gonna go back here. So we're gonna cut these trees here, and we're gonna, well, we can't farm right now. So I guess that's it. That's the beginning of our game. So when I hit play, remember the jobs will start going from left to right. So this guy here, the first thing he'll do is start constructing. So this guy is gonna get some wood and he'll start building our little room here. Our smart girl, she'll start cutting some plants. Once there's no plants to cut, she'll start researching. Hopefully by then we already have our research table, so she could get started on that. If she doesn't have that, she'll start tailoring, but she won't have that for sure because we that's later in the game. And this guy here is gonna start cooking, but because we don't have our campfire yet, he can't cook anything. So he'll go to his next job, that's hunting, fishing. We won't have that. We won't have growing, so he'll start cutting plants. This is what he'll do. So we're ready to do that. I'll just hit play so you can see what the villagers start to do, and that's going to be the end of our first video. Next video we'll start building our farm. We'll start building our cellar, and we'll start researching a lot more stuff. So I've hit play. So immediately we start seeing our settlers haul this stuff in here. They'll put it in here, even though we don't have our roof yet, but it'll eventually be there. So it's might as well have them there. Why are they hauling first? Because they have like this guy here. He's auto equipping. Remember our schedule. So it's 7 o'clock, so he won't start constructing until it's 8 o'clock if he doesn't have something to do before. So now he's constructing. We could see him constructing our walls here. This guy is hauling, and this guy is cutting some plants. So it's important to have all our stuff here close by. So yeah, that's about it for this video. We'll let that guy start constructing a bit, and we'll start our next video once we have our room constructed and we're ready to start researching and we're ready to start farming. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember, this is not the best way to play. I'm not an expert. I played this game for 100 hours. Still learning how to do stuff in a better way. So you could play however you want, however you feel is the best way to play. But yeah, this is how I like to play. This is how I like to start, and we'll see you in our next video. Take care.